Hey, my friends. I haven't done a tag in a minute, and I saw my friend Liz Westwater do this one, and then a couple other folks, and I thought it was fun. I'll try to leave the link to the original video in the description, which I'm always really bad at doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this is the My Classics tag, and I just sort of took this to mean like decks that I feel sort of are me as a reader, or that I kind of like am always reaching for. And what was that? There's like a crash outside. Anyway, so these are sort of my classics. I guess the decks that I sort of am like, like the rock and roll of my deck collection. Oh, that's a weird example. Whatever. F it. These are my classics. So we cannot have started anywhere but the World Spirit Tarot, and this is my oldest love, I would say. I think I've talked about this deck many times. It was ahead of its time, I think. This is the Llewellyn version, which is now out of print, but Madame Onsa, who created it, has an indie version, which you can get on the website. I'm not sure if it's active right now, because I saw a video where she was working on a third edition, but I do love this one, and it is my classic. It's probably the most used RWS deck that I got, and I love it. And I mean, all of these, I guess, I've shown many times, so it's like, but I haven't done, just like a cool, chill video where I talk about decks. The next one is the Halloween Tarot. Again, another early purchase, and I love it a lot. How's our focus doing? I can't really tell. Hopefully this isn't terrible. Oops. This is a very awkward setup I have right now for this kind of video. But I tried messing with it, and it was unsuccessful, and I don't want to fix everything and have to redo it, because I fucked up my last video for that reason. So this is just, it feels like Halloween, it feels like nostalgia for me. I sort of keep it out all year. I don't use it all the time, but I do always love it, and it just feels like nostalgia, and it feels, and I'm not like a big whimsy person, although ironically there's a couple whimsical, you could say, decks here in these classics, but where's my Dracula card? I stan Dracula. It's always the way. This is incidental. Oh, here he is. This is incidentally the second time I've tried to make this one too. I don't know if that's in focus. Kind of looks like it is. So I love this deck. It's very, again, it feels very me. I'm not really going in chronological order, but ish, I guess. I don't, and there comes a point where I don't even really know. But I'm going to go with this one because there was a while where I had sort of stopped reading tarot just because I just burned out and I wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. And, I've talked about this before, all kinds of reasons. It ended up being a good thing. I think it forced me to kind of reconcile and sort of restore and reevaluate what I was as a reader, and it led to good things. This is the Shadowscapes Tarot, which sort of at the end of what turned out to be that break, I was wandering around Barnes & Noble and sort of glanced at the tarot section and saw this and grabbed it and fell in love, and I used this deck pretty exclusively for a long time. It is maybe the most beautiful tarot art, in my opinion, I've ever seen. It's just gorgeous. And again, you could say that this is sort of whimsical, but I just find it so beautiful. I mean, I love watercolor. These are intense, beautiful, gorgeous watercolor. And I'm just all about it. And I have the Czech version, which is larger and gilded. I don't use it as much, though, because this is just sort of broken in, and I love it. And it comes so way back, in like 1999, 2000, I bought a bunch of these because I was like buying decks like crazy. 2001, maybe even. I bought these silk bags from a retailer online that doesn't exist anymore, but it's actually wearing away. Like the silk is wearing sort of away, but it's like the perfect color. So I don't know what was in here before, but it got kicked out, and the Shadowscapes has lived there ever since. And so now we are really sort of in a land of like, I don't know, I guess we'll just stay on the slightly whimsical for a minute. And this is a deck I did not expect to want to like or want, but I got it and I love it. There's something very cool about this deck. not the least of which is the cardstock. This is, I think, the 3rd edition. I don't know how to tell. The 2018 edition. But yeah, it's the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot, and I just love it. There's something very queer about this deck. I've talked about this before, and I don't really know if it was intentional, but it is very, very gay in a lot of ways, and I mean that in the best possible way. I love this deck. I don't find it overly whimsical. Love the hand drawings. I love the inky colors. I love this very sort of queer quality to it. I just think it's so great. And again, I use this, not all the time, but I use it a lot and I love it. I think it's very cool. I think my friend Liz was the one who sort of posted some pictures of this on the beach, and I was like, oh, it might be time for me to like check this deck out. And I did, and I'm glad. I think it's just great. I have Dame Darcy Alice Tarot, which I don't like as much, but this I think is awesome. And this particular edition had such good cardstock too. And the matte gilding, which, I always find gilding sort of a little ostentatious, but I like this matte shit. So much stuff. I mean, La Corte de Turoki is probably my favorite deck. I have talked about this so many times. I love it. I have 2 copies of it. I love the shape. I love the size. The one thing about the size that I don't love is that it's hard to do, big spreads with this, which is a sort of thing I like to do. And I would love to see this saturated a bit better, but it's just so dope. And I just find it delightful and fun to shuffle, and it makes me happy. And it shows up in all my favorite classic videos, the Marshmallow Marseille. I don't use this as much as I did. Whoops. Get back here. Hi. But I still love it, and I love the color palette, and I love the quality of it. And I've talked about this one too many times, so I won't belabor it, but that feels like a classic. This was an unexpected classic. It's the Japanza. It's upside down. Another one, I've talked about sort of all of these a lot, but I just love it. Even if I hate the Emperor card, I've come to terms with it, and I use this all the time for client readings. I adore it, and it works so well, and it is so bizarre and cool and weird, and just really effective in readings, and it just became one of my workhorses. It's one of my classics. It's one of my most used decks. So this is Japanza. It was out of print for a minute, but US Games brought it back. Running out of room. I'm missing one. Oh, I see it. This is the Lazy Crow deck, which I gather some folks had a problem getting. I didn't, and I like it because it's a Rider-Waite-Smith that's very neutral in terms of its sort of atmosphere, and it just, again, weird. I guess you could kind of call this whimsical, although I don't really feel like it's whimsical. But I just love the simplicity of it, and the sort of flow of the lines I find very exciting and happy. Just for me as a reader, not like in life, as a reading quality. But I really, really enjoy it. So, Lazy Crow. Very, very, very fabulous, in my opinion. How am I doing on time? I wanted to keep this relatively short. This is the Shimmering Veil Tarot by Scylla Conway, which, interestingly, is one of my most used relationship reading decks. And I told Scylla that. She's like, oh, I don't do relationship readings because I think people are crazy to want them. And I laughed because I love doing relationship readings. And this deck is especially good for it because, again, it's vibey, but it doesn't sort of impose an emotional landscape on a reading, so I can sort of talk through things without the sort of loaded associations that come with a lot of decks that are sort of less neutral and more representational. This is sort of abstracted and flowy. So that's the Shimmering Veil. I edged it in multicolors, and I don't love the way it came out. I guess the current version has sort of a shimmering edge, but I don't have that one. There's one more over there, which I'll show you. But this is one that I really like, and I even kind of feel bad showing it because it's out of print. I don't think it's super hard to find, but I think that once sellers started recognizing that it was going to be popular, they started kind of price gouging for it. This is the Piotnik Wien Tarot, which is a pip deck from I think the 60s or 70s, and it is. I use this all the time, and I love it. It is just, it's actually unusually in order because I just sort of wanted to see it the other day, and so I put it back in order. But it's just a delight. So you saw the trumps already. The art is just so great. It's very thick. It's not easy to, you can't overhand shuffle it, but it shuffles pretty well. I've never been wild about the backs because I don't like text on the backs, but whatever. Like when the fronts are so beautiful, you let it slide. And then the last one, to grab my microphone to come with me, is mine. So this I just sort of released into the world. It's the what I call the Multi Marseille. It's up on Make Playing Cards. You can get it if you want it. There's links on my website. And I don't, there's no profit made on this, but it's a sort of multicultural representational Marseille based on the Jean Noblet that I sort of did line art tracings and then made some adjustments to sort of reflect body type, hair type, skin tone, and just try not to put multicultural skin on white figures and faces as much as you sort of can do given my artistic ability and, the sort of bizarrely shaped looking figures of the deck, but I wanted to make it something that like felt more representative of global majority. So there's that. So those are my classics. Just sort of a quick look, quick video, a little sort of divertissement, as the French would say. So I hope that was fun. I'll leave the link to the original video below and be good. Take care. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.